Hi guys, how's it going? Ivano here, and as always when I release a new class guide, I wanted to do a little gameplay video afterwards just explaining some of the principles in the guide. But here we're running Telekinetics Sage, we're playing pre-made with Tiba and with Kathik. Tiba on heal and I think Kathik was on his Madness Sorg. So we're just playing like a triple Sage comp and let's see how it goes. I think the main thing I want to cover in this video is to discuss how to properly position yourself when you're playing ranged. Like kind of just some things, what to do, what not to do. So as we're going to the match, of course, we are going into mid. We're not doing any noob tactics, running east or west here. We're running in, we don't have to place our phase walk because we don't have phase walk in this build. By the way, if you haven't seen my guide, check that out first. I'll put the link in the description below. Alright, so first thing that happened, we ran in from behind the stairs here. That makes it so that the enemies cannot immediately target you. And it's typically a good idea. If you just run in this way from mid, then it's very likely that, all these, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 enemies will just tap target you and start shooting you. So don't do that. Instead, you can run here. And as I discussed in my video on how to properly play team fights, I see that my Juggernaut has engaged the fight and now I'm helping him. I'm following up on his target, which is this guy. So I put my Weaken Mind, was the Affliction equivalent on him, and start to cast Turbulence, and unfortunately he proceeds to push him out of my cast for no reason. So my cast interrupts actually when it was already at 1.1 second, but the cast actually doesn't go through. And that's also something that sometimes happens, and why as a ranged player, especially if you have to cast, it can be better to position yourself in the open so that exactly these things don't happen to you, right? Let's say instead of coming in here, instead of casting from here, I could have moved a little bit more to this side, then my cast would have gone through because the push would not have LOS'd me. Of course, if this was a proper game in the pre-made, this guy would not have pushed him out of my loss. Maybe this guy would have been a better target because he's out of position, but I was just thinking to kind of help my melee kill this guy, and unfortunately he was not on the same page and pushed him out of my cast. Anyway, let's move on. So I'm moving out here. This is not the best positioning in the world, not gonna lie to you. I shouldn't really stand here because all of these guys can cast on me, but not what I'm doing. I'm still, not running in here for some reason. I'm still staying at what is maybe 10-15 meter range, and most importantly, I'm staying close to this pillar. Why? Because on the enemy team, we can see they have a Sorg, they have a Sniper, they have a Mercenary, and I think over here there was another Mercenary. So it looks like they're an all ranged comp, and what you want to do against all ranged comps is ideally position yourself somewhere where you can LOS them easily, but they cannot LOS you back. So I'm trying to stay close to this pillar in this situation, which, allows me, let's say the Sniper is casting ambush on me. I haven't yet seen what kind of spec he plays. If I see that cast, I can quickly move behind the pillar and his cast will be interrupted. So very basic, but I think it's worth mentioning. Okay. So we're casting on this guy because he is, for some reason, trying to push in here. We see a little note on positioning. We have a guy up here. We have another DPS here. That's, of course, Kathik. And we also have Tiba, our heals positioning here, right? So pretty good positioning. We are all focusing on this guy. And Tiba is here behind us, so she can heal us, but she can potentially also run away if the Sniper starts attacking her. All right, doing some damage. And now we get knocked. Probably from a mercenary who's behind us. So we are out of position here. We should not really be here. A better target would be to turn around and try to kill this mercenary, which we can actually see as the red dot on the minimap is behind us. But the Sniper is a good target for us. However, now the Sniper uses diversion on us, which means we want to move out of that, right? That's a 45% accuracy debuff. So there's no reason to keep standing in that. And where's the proper direction to move? Well, it's obviously not here because that's the enemy's kind of zone right now. They own this space closer to their respawn. We do not want to go here. Instead, what we should do is move back and try, together with our team, to focus on this mercenary which is behind us all this time. And that's exactly what we do. So now we're going to start playing the game a little bit more properly. Yeah? And notice the positioning here. So we use force speed, we kite back, and now you can see a proper setup. If you're a ranged player, you want to be in the back line, which at the moment is here. One of our teammates is here. There's no enemy behind us, so we're not being threatened from two sides, which is always a problem. We have not really a front line, only this Juggernaut is here, but neither does the enemy. I think at some point like a Guardian joins the fight, but you know, they have a healer here. This is a DPS who's very low, and I think those guys are also DPSs. So we have kind of what I was talking about in my video on team fighting. Two backlines that are fighting each other with, you know, not a lot of front line at this point. But nevertheless, you want to use proper positioning, and you know, especially as a ranged player, as in this case, I'm playing Sage. You know, you don't want to be in melee range. There's really no reason because you know we have 35 meters range. Okay, so we're just doing Affliction, Turbulence, Chain Lightning, doing our rotation. Now these guys are stacked up. You never want to do that, of course, if you're a ranged player. But I think they got somehow knocked into that position. So we're casting our Force Quake on them, which is of course Force Storm if you're playing Imperial, doing a lot of damage. This guy gets netted, we see that, we swap on him and burst him and he dies. So very basic but effective. Now we are pushing in a little bit, we are moving forwards here to that turret, casting on these guys, but now they have a positioning advantage because they are close to the pillar. So in a second you can see he LOSs me and I cannot keep casting on him. For Lightning or Telekinetics, that's not really a big problem because you're pretty good at target swapping. The only thing that you really need to put on your targets before you can burst them is Weaken Mind or Affliction. So not the biggest deal. But now something changes. We have a Guardian who engages on us here close to the turret. So let's see how we react to that. Immediately we swap the target and we start kiting back a little bit. Unfortunately, we also get netted from the Merc. That's a problem because now if we move, we'll get a stacking debuff on ourselves and the damage will increase. Then again, we have Tiwa on our team, who is of course a great healer, and I have full confidence that she will keep us alive. Notice the positioning here. So the Guardian is now the enemy front line. We are here, which is not a great position because we are a ranged player. Ideally, we want to be here, where, for example, Kathik is positioning. So if possible, we would like to move back here. Also note that our healer is positioned behind us, but easily within range to heal us. That's exactly what you want to do. Okay. Moving on. The mercenary actually knocks us back into our back line, which is perfect because that's exactly where we want to be. And now from here we can start casting. We're going to focus immediately on the Guardian, even though he does pop Saber Ward. And that's because he's the biggest threat to us in the backline. We want to make sure we kill him ASAP. Now he jumps out and we see the Sorcerer who is out of position. You never want to be here if you're the enemy Sorcerer because, well, now 3 of our DPS players can easily focus him. Let's see how he managed to put himself in that position. He just walks in from behind. Okay. So I thought he could make an offensive play while his Guardian was engaging the fight on us. But as the Guardian has to retreat, now he realizes that he is horribly out of position and we're going to swap immediately to him. Notice that we're not trying to chase after this Guardian, overextending ourselves. We are simply focusing on this guy who is out of position. And he has to barrier immediately. So we're going back on the Guardian. We know Saber Ward is down. So now all of our players, again, notice the positioning. Our players are all here in the backline. We have a sniper up here. That's another very good position for a ranged player, especially if you're a sniper. Because again, with his range, he can probably hit those people back there. The enemy is in the backline, and the only guy who's fighting the backline is our Juggernaut. So right now he's taking care of all of these 3 people here, so that we can focus on these guys, which is good for us as long as the Juggernaut can stay alive. Okay. So doing some damage, the Guardian is about to die because his healer is being pressured in the backline. And now this is another nice setup. The enemy is all kind of cuddled together in this little choke point here, which is a very nice thing in Yavin. and we start to spam our Force Storm. For some reason, Darth Hydra's here pushes into us. He should not be doing that. I think he wants to interrupt the cap. But I can tell you exactly what happens in a second. We swap to him and he gets bursted to oblivion because he is not allowed to stand there. Yeah. He has no place here. This is our zone right now. We own this complete zone. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here. Our complete team is here, while our Juggernaut is doing Juggernaut things in their backline. So the Sorcerer has no place standing here. He could as well stand here and just cast Force Storm or something to interrupt the cap. There's no reason that he should play melee Sorc. So this guy dies immediately. And we're just spamming AoE on them. Should be using our Turbulence more often. Here we go. Chain Lightning. Okay, and now we have pushed them back. We got hard stunned here. Maybe if we roll it back a little bit, couple of seconds, talk about our decision making here. So, I mean, at this point in the fight, we've pretty much won middle. The cap just went through, and we can see that, you know, the fight is won. The mercenary has to pop his shield, but he's going low. He's going to die, and the rest of the team is already retreating to their respawn. So this is a moment that allows us to push in, and we're going to move this way so that we can keep doing damage on them. We do not want to give them time to recover. And of course, we want to do damage, so this is exactly where you want to position. There's no reason now to move here. We want to push in. We can be aggressive now because we are at 100% HP. We have our cooldowns ready, so we can play aggressive. And that's a very simple principle. You want to use good positioning, and when you have your cooldowns ready, then you can play aggressive. But now you can see here, again, positioning mistake. Yeah? These guys are all standing in a puddle. I am playing in the AoE class, so you know what's going to happen. We're going to annihilate them. We are all almost at 100%. We have still a lot of cooldowns. Actually, Cloud Mind is coming off cooldown, so we can play aggressively, and this fight is ours to lose. And there goes the Chain Lightning. They are all rooted. Force Storm, and this is again good positioning by us, bad positioning by them. And yeah, Force Quake into 3 people is going to do massive damage. And here, what we're doing is really also just playing front to back, right? So we're not running in, we're not trying to kill this guy. We're simply staying here, good positioning, even though you could argue that we should spread out a little bit more. But it's difficult when you're fighting in a choke point like this. You can never fully spread out. But notice who we're targeting. Kathik and me, we're both shooting this guy because he's the closest. And then he's going to have to retreat under our focus. So focus with your teammates, it helps a lot. Turbulence, and then casting AoE. Guy's even walking into it, and he gets pulled out. Now we can push in. Hopefully improving our positioning a little bit. They're doing the right thing now, so you saw, as they noticed, they were getting AoE'd by my Force Storm. They start to move out of it. Everyone moves in a different direction. It's fine. That was properly played by them. But now that's a mistake. So you saw what happened there. That's another mistake that I see a lot of players making. So it is good to spread out when you're being AoE'd by, for example, a Sorcerer, like in this case. But what you never want to do is, you never want to run 60 meters away from each other, because then, you're out of the range of your healer. Your Sorcerer DPS cannot pull you simply too far away. So this guy, I think, uses Rocket Out, and then he's over here in Narnia. This guy runs for the med pack. This guy runs this direction, and they're spreading out too far, which allows us to push in as a group and then kill them one by one. So this guy's out of position, and even though he gets the med pack, it doesn't matter, because his teammates are too far away. They cannot support him. And as his teammates get back into range to heal him, he's already low, and they can't do anything, and he dies anyway. So going for the med pack there was a bad play. He should have simply stayed with his teammates, even though he was at 10%. So we're swapping to the sniper, and he just dies from AoE at the end there. And now it's a 2v3, so an easy win for us. Okay, here's another example of a fight where we have to use defensive positioning because, in fact, we are losing. How do I know that we're losing? Well, simply look at this fight. Enemy team has 3 players here. We have 2 players here. And even though you can see on the minimap that behind us there are more teammates, you know, those guys, they want to win the game. They're defending the turret. So in fact, they are not going to join into the fight. So I know these 3 guys, they were playing together. They were probably pre-made. So I was aware that I probably would not win this fight by myself because my Juggernaut is about to die. And then, you know, I cannot 1v3 if they have a healer as well. So I'm calling my teammates to help me over here. And I need to survive until they get here, basically. So watch my positioning. From standing in the open, I am kiting over here next to this tree. I'm targeting the sniper. So yeah, it's a little combo you can do. Yeah, let's watch it one more time in slow motion. So we're casting on the sniper. Now we're going to turbulence, knockback, force speed, move behind the pillar. And we're just going to keep moving in and out from behind the pillar, right? So these kind of movements in, like we're casting, we have our global cooldown. So once the global cooldown is up, we're casting. And again, on Lightning, you have a lot of instant skills. So you're casting, but then you have 1.3 seconds where you can't do anything because of the global cooldown. And in those seconds, we're moving behind the pillar. So it's kind of an in and out, back and forth that you see here. So that we make sure that whenever our global cooldown is up, we are casting, we're doing damage to them. And in the meantime, we are using the tree as LOS, as protection, so that they cannot do damage to us. Moving in, moving out. Turbulence. Does not go through. Actually, it does go through, even though he tried to LOS it. He moves behind us. That's good, because now, because this Sorg moved this way, means that the tree is not safe for me anymore, right? So I have to move away. So that was good play by him. But now we have to react to it. And we have force speed again. And immediately we move over to this tree, right? And now we're in a safe position. These guys are LOS'd. This guy is LOS'd. And we can survive until our teammates arrive. Well, we still keep doing damage to them. Now a 4th enemy arrives, so that's really bad news, but luckily he decides to go mid and play the game, even though it's already lost. So we can keep AoEing them. And because of our positioning and the moving in and out to LOS, we are actually still at 70% when our healer arrives to the fight. So yeah, this just goes to show you can, save a lot of HP and survive a lot longer by just kiting and using positioning. So now that our team is here, you see immediately we force speed in and we position a lot more aggressively. Because now we have the support, now we can do that. So we're doing our rotation, turbulence, force quake, turbulence is ready again. Rushing darkness, turbulence, chain lightning, and immediately they have a big problem. Now, of course, the rest of our team joins in. The game is already won. So this guy joins the fight, this guy joins the fight, and we have a nice backline setup again, pushing the enemies back into the pit. Of course, this game was relatively easy positioning-wise because the enemy did not really have a front line to threaten us. So maybe I'll upload another game where the enemy has a couple more melee players that we can have to kite. But hopefully this video showed, some of the principles of how you can play as a Sage player, what to do and what not to do and why. That's it for today, guys. Hopefully this little commentary helped you understand some of the principles of how to play a ranged class in general and Telekinetics Sage in particular. If it helped you, then please remember to leave a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.